My name is Shuhan and I'm going to give a talk today about in digital health about two main things. The first is human-computer interfaces, and then how that applies to digital growth and the projects you may undertake as students. So a little bit about me. My name is Shuhan He. I'm an emergency medicine physician at Mass General Hospital. I also have a dual role at the Lab of Computer Science, where I work at the intersection of medical care and how computers can drive better care for everybody, more accessibility, and generally speaking, I think more growth in medical projects that can help impact the world. I'm a instructor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, and please take some time to follow me on Twitter, where my name is Shuhan He MD. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is growth, and I'll talk about three things, and that's the digital growth approach. Generally speaking, when you think about making software, you get introduced to two very common ways that you'll have project management software. That's the waterfall method and the agile method, which is you'll write down the traditional approach. You'll create your specifications, you'll build, and you'll deploy. One thing you'll start to realize with the traditional approach is that it's actually less efficient, and it's based on internal needs, such as what you believe the software may need. And oftentimes, it's unclear how much that software you are making will be used. What's really, really nice when we talk about digital growth approaches is that you just create an iteration as fast as possible and launching it out the door. After that, you're doing A/B testing. You're seeing how people use your software in real time and updating and modifying specifications to match. Now, obviously, in healthcare, it's important that you apply this to the right source software. Software that doesn't affect patients, that has not a significant amount of fault, where you can make mistakes and you can tolerate mistakes, which is very important. So these sorts of growth approaches are very, very useful for websites and for front-end digital technology, where your users are interacting with it on mass scale so you can understand the utilization. But it's important to understand that that's the utilization of digital growth and why it's such a powerful way to create specifications for software. The second thing to understand for digital growth is architecture. And there's a difference between digital architecture and human architecture. And I give an example of a really big website for e-commerce. That website might have two pages. Page one is foods, where it goes to a whole section about food and delivering food. This whole section about shoes, where you deliver shoes. Those two things in terms of digital architecture are very, very similar because they use the same base URL, website.com, and subpages, foods or shoes. But they deliver very different products and human architecture because the delivery for bananas is very, very different than the delivery for shoes. And always keep that in mind when you're creating this digital architecture is how, when you create that architecture, does it get in line with the way that you deliver your product and service to help make someone's lives better? That is really important to align those two things. The third thing I want to talk about is topographical analysis. You should think about your website or any sort of digital tool as almost like an electrical circuit diagram. Much like how circuits funnel people through a circuit to an end place and funnel electrons through the circuit, you are funneling human intention and desire and need to where you need people to go. On the left here is an image of a real website and what websites look like when you create topographical analysis. So why does this matter? Oftentimes, people assume that people come to your website through your home page, medicalcaredelivery.com, for example. Oftentimes, they won't go through there. They'll search for medicaldelivery.com/podiatry, where you deliver podiatry shoes that can help them walk better. In that situation, they may come through a different part of your site entirely and never enter your home page. So keep in mind that your homepage is only speaking to all the audience, but your secondary pages is speaking to the specific audience. And that means that you can deliver a better service and a more specific service to those clients and those people and those patients in a better, more specific way. And that is the power of understanding the topography when you're talking about digital growth of your service. So back to this, I'll give you another example. These are two topographical analyses of two different websites. Website one is a website. Website two is also a website. The same URL for the homepage, these are subpages, and this is a second web page. So I always want you to ask, which architecture will the target find first? In website two situation, oftentimes it'll be much more specific and they will find exactly what they need. For example, a section on podiatry, a section on cardiology, a section on stroke, a section on chest pain. And that sort of architecture generally is much more efficient. How will the target find it? Will they find it through search? Will they find it through social media? Will they find it through word of mouth? Either way, understanding where they will land and how they will find that landing page is critical for understanding topographical analysis. What is the efficiency in which the customer or the patient, in this case, or the demographic, will they find the patient? How efficient is it to spread the word versus posting on social media versus going to conferences and introducing people one by one? And then what is the flow? When they land on not the homepage, for example, let's say they land on cardiology, how will they end up on another part of your site? And how easy do you make it in the moves that they need to make? Those are the key things. The last thing is all innovations need a little bit of both of rocket ships and planes. As in, oftentimes when I talk to students, they usually want their application or digital health project to grow as fast as possible. Remembering what we just taught before, that you oftentimes need a human topography as well as a digital topography. Your website may grow so fast, thousands of times of growth every single day, but you need to deliver still to that growth. So that's why sometimes having an airplane, as in you go up and you go down to the right amount of growth, is really, really healthy versus trying to grow as fast as possible. Now, so that is kind of the first part of my talk, which is the growth tactics, which is, again, the digital human architecture, the flow, and then the pace at which you're going, given the digital and human architecture and the way that you create your website. Now, how do you do it? We'll talk about 3 different tactics specifically to keep in mind as you're architecting and designing your digital health product or service or website. The first is something called the Hick-Hyman law, which is that a user, a person, and the response time is a function of the number of possible responses, okay? So if you have a lot of choices, you come to your home page and you sell shoes and you offer bananas and you offer lamps and saline and chest pain care and back pain care, you need to consider how is it that you offer these options. Remember, the number of choices means that there's increased time to make a decision. And oftentimes above a certain number of choices, usually 3 is my general go-to, you should create a search bar because you should allow them to say what they're looking for and then you to respond. The second thing to keep in mind always is the keystroke level model. This is a cognitive theory in understanding how many physical actions are you asking your user to take. In this situation, I'll give one specific example in Health Tech Without Borders, that when you look at the website and you want someone to donate, how many clicks are you asking them to do? So you're not just asking for clicks, you're asking for them, 1, to see this website, 2, read the words, 3, understand the words, 4, move physically their mouse, which takes time and effort and energy, 5, click the right button, 6, move to the separate page, and then 7, donate money. So in that situation, that's about 7 different actions. And so what are your priorities? Because every single item that gets added to this list means a decreased amount of conversion action in which your goal will be able to convert. So it's important to understand your priorities when you are an organization looking to deliver a health or service. In which case, the situation, Health Tech Without Borders, it's to me, learn more and I want to help, which I think is an appropriate priority list. So in that situation, when you're looking at Health Tech Without Borders, Health Tech Without Borders /donate, getting to that page, scrolling, deciding, donating, all the steps in between. The third thing I want everyone to understand is Fitts law, and that the time to a target is both distance and width. And this is why a lot of modern UX has gone towards bigger buttons and less action on the screen. So this is from Wikipedia. This is a nice target. If your mouse click is right here, this is the distance, but it's also a function of the width of your target. If your target's very small, it will be harder to click. If your distance is longer, it will be harder to click. If it's shorter distances and larger targets, it's easier to click. So that's an understanding of that people, when they interact with your website, are human beings. They have a physical need to interact with what you're trying to deliver on the website. And as you create and you construct your website, always keep in mind these human factors that allow and prevent people from doing what they want to be able to do, which is receive your service, receive your product, receive the thing that you are delivering to them, which is oftentimes medical care, scientific care, outreach, humanitarian aid, wherever that might be. So those are three cognitive theories that can really help you understand how to do growth: Hickman law, the Fitts law, and the keystroke level model. And then when you're doing these theories, what you're trying to undergo is growth, which is basically helping to understand and how do you grow your organization to the right audience using things like topography, using things like digital health tools and planning, and then also things like understanding the human level architecture versus the digital architecture. With that, thank you for your time. Questions?